What fetish did you try that went horribly wrong? We did a little bit of rape play. She was yelling stop and don't. It was kinda hot. Afterwards we were in the shower and heard banging at the door. The neighbors called the cops. I almost went to jail for being freaky. I did a little rape where she ends up enjoying it in the end role play, hentai style, that didn't go terribly wrong but still kind of. The sex was hot and in the role play I was all like yeah bitch, I bet your boyfriend doesn't fuck you like this, and she was like no, he doesn't, and his dick isn't as big as yours. Hearing that turned me on, until I remembered I was her boyfriend. Then it just made me strangely jealous of my roleplay self. Texted my girlfriend in the morning to blindfold herself and be naked in the living room on her knees waiting for me when I got home. Forgot about it by the end of the day, and it wouldn't be unusual that she'd ignore my suggestion anyways. Ran into the neighbor on my way into the apartment building. Sure, come on up and I'll give you back that DVD I borrowed. Was a little embarrassing for everyone, and no, it didn't lead to an impromptu threesome. Oh boy. I've done quite a bit, as I always followed the don't knock it till you try it mantra. This immediately comes to mind, though, as I used to date an incredibly kinky woman. I didn't stay with anyone long if they weren't creative and adventurous. And before you ask, most BDSM is considered light to vanilla by my tastes. Anyway, I'll rename her Lucy. Lucy was about 5'10" with a figure like an hourglass where everything went to the bottom half of the hourglass. Pear-shaped extreme? Dunno. Face sitting was a big thing of hers. So was food stuff and mess play and a bunch of other stuff, but for this story the ones named were important. I'll cut the extra droll details of setup and the origin of various fetishes and get right to the point. Lucy wanted to fuck in a bathtub full of barbecue beans. Yeah. So one Saturday we go to Sam's Club and buy a bunch of mega packs of beans. We'd done a bunch before and after this, so this was just our current weekend. We'd be on to something else after this, so setup was pretty fast. I'd never done this exact thing. Anyway. I'm a pretty thin guy, around 130 pounds at the time. Lucy is a thick concubine of about 165 I think. So we're in the tube trying to figure this out. I remember how oily this shit felt. It was like sticky and slippery at the same time. Eventually we're both just brown and covered in this stuff. Lucy wants me to eat her out and stands up and hefts that huge ass she had back at me, and I start going to town. The taste was, yeah, vagina and beans. Pretty much. Anyway. Beans are slippery, remember? About 20 seconds into this Lucy slips, knocks me back, I go under the beans, and she's now on my face holding me down because the tub isn't that big honestly, and she's on top of me in an awkward position myself while I'm under for like 20 seconds about to drown in ass and beans. Sex swing. Bought one for girlfriend's apartment. I was hanging it up to the roof in these shitty apartments while she was at work. Got it up and decided to test it before putting her in it. Sat down. Put a little more of my weight on it. Lifted one foot off the ground, then another. Sat for a second, heard a pop and crack. I looked up and the bolts broke free of the rafter. I'm staring up at a 5 to 10 pound steel bar falling right into my forehead as my ass hits the ground. I'm not sure how long I was out for, but I awoke on the floor half wrapped in a leopard print sex swing. A few years ago, I began watching a lot of anal porn. I was a little hesitant about trying it, but it looked hot, especially when it came to women using sex toys on their pussies while a guy pounded away at her ass. I was curious and wanted to try it. I was in a long-distance relationship at the time, so we talked about it in preparation for the next visit. I had a shiny new butt plug and a plethora of lube ready to go. Unlike porn, it wasn't quite as straightforward. I underestimated the results. We went at it for a bit and it felt good. He finished and I went to clean myself up. I was unprepared for the marching band of cum farts that emitted from my newly discovered sweet spot. This was before we were fully comfortable letting rip in front of each other, so imagine the horror on my face when I realized that he can hear this roaring beast from the next room. The farts alone I might have been okay with, but the splattering detonation of semen made it sound like there was some explosive diarrhea going on. We ended up laughing about it, but at the time, it was terrible. Still wouldn't stop me from trying anal again though. Had a girl tell me she likes it rough. I think not really my style, but we can try, I guess. I put on the condom, go in, and she slaps me hard across the face. I lose my boner, sex is over. We broke up a week later and she tried to convince me she's pregnant with my kid. That was the only sexual encounter we'd even had. She still sends me Facebook friend requests almost a decade later. My birthday was this last weekend. My wife of 7 years finally said I could ram her bum. I was so excited I came in about 10 seconds. She started laughing and said, "Wrong hole." Me and the wife tried some of that couple's lube that when combined made you feel awesome. It combined all right, just like water on a damn grease fire. We were both burning so bad we ended up laughing till we could barely breathe, fighting over the shower head lol. I was dating a girl for a few months who smoked a lot of pot. She wanted to get me high and have sex. Keep in mind, I had smoked plenty of times in the past, but I generally end up getting paranoid, and I'm just not really a fan. Anyway, she got me high. I got paranoid and twitchy. She told me I could put it in her butt. This wasn't her first anal experience. Anyway, being a little freaked out and twitchy, I went hard on that ass, and I apparently didn't use nearly enough lube. After I came, she went to the bathroom to clean up. That's when she yelled out to me while sitting on the toilet, "I think you made my asshole bleed." Oh, yup. My asshole is definitely bleeding. Hearing this while still in my state of paranoia made me even more freaked out. I tried apologizing to her numerous times, but every time she said, "Don't worry, it's okay," I didn't believe her. It's pretty funny in retrospect, but I was a mess while it was happening. Not really a fetish, I don't think. Boyfriend wanted to try and go down on me in the shower. He's about 30 seconds in and starts coughing and choking bad. He basically almost drowned in the shower, while going down on me. I told him if he had died, we could have put on his gravestone, "Die drowning in pussy." Finally, my thread. This was a few years ago. I was 17 and my girlfriend at the time was quite into scenario porn, that is, "I'm here to fix your pipes" kinda stuff. She had very casually mentioned to me that she'd watched a video where a pizza delivery guy had delivered a pizza and the girl didn't have enough cash to complete the transaction. I'll let you figure the rest out. So she told me that her parents were away for the weekend, so I asked my friend who worked at Domino's if I could borrow a uniform for a fancy dress party. This fateful night was the Friday of the weekend. A close friend of ours was actually having a fancy dress party on the Saturday, so no eyebrows raised. I'm laughing. Right? Well, I pick a pizza up from Domino's. On my walk over to my girlfriend's place, I don my Domino's gear and knock on the front door. My girl answers and giggles. I say I'm here to deliver a pizza. She cottons on and says, "Oh no, I haven't got enough money. Whatever will we do?" One thing leads to another and we start going at it. The pizza is cast aside, Domino's clothing is strewn across the room. When suddenly a car pulls into the drive. Shit. It's probably worth mentioning at this point that her folks were really nice, but pretty traditional in the sense that sex was kind of a no-go. They liked me, they were always very pleasant, but there was no staying over, etc. Anyway, I'm freaking the fuck out. I grab my shit and make a break for it. The door opens as I'm shooting out the back door. I run until I'm a few streets away, collect my thoughts, have a chuckle and count my lucky stars. So my phone buzzes. I assume it's my girlfriend saying, "Wow, that was close. If only." It turns out that the parents had caught a glimpse of me shooting out the door, saw a bra on the floor, a cold uneaten pizza in a Domino's box and, most crucially, a Domino's cap. With my friend's name in it. Now, her parents knew the friend I borrowed the stuff of really well, as we were a very close group of friends. He and I are very similar builds and have pretty much the same haircut. They saw a flash of my back as I left the back door, saw the pizza, bra, and cap, read the name and assumed that my girlfriend had been doing the dirty with our friend. Now the worst part, my girlfriend's parents have a very clear moral compass and as a result had her fess up. This was definitely preferable to her saying it was me because it was unlikely they would approve of us continuing to date. So on Sunday I had to meet my girlfriend at Starbucks when I thought she was coming clean. I had to pretend that I was really upset with her etc. but ultimately pretend that I was willing to forgive her. She got grounded for a few weeks, her parents took a serious dislike to our mutual friend and I was treated like the second coming of Christ by them for being so selfless. Well, in the glory days of college I brought home a random girl from the bar. We were going at it doggy style and in my drunken stupor I was pretty sure I heard her say, "Stick it in my ass." But apparently it was something more along the lines of, "Do you like looking at my ass?" Needless to say we didn't finish and she pretty much cried herself to sleep. She told me that getting head from a girl with mints in her mouth was just heaven, so we gave it a go. But she didn't have any mints. Or any mint chewing gum, or chewing gum at all. What she did have though, was those melt in your mouth strips that come from Regals, and the like. But, it wasn't mint, but big red cinnamon. Okay, whatever, same difference, right? Possibly, but we didn't get to find out. Turns out you have to let those suckers really melt on your tongue, and swish them around your mouth with some saliva to get them going. She just threw it into her gob, and went to town on me. The entire strip just came out of her mouth, and landed on the head of my wing, and started melting away there. Jesus suffering fuck, it was as if it was one of those chemical self-fire starter things, out to start the next fire of London. I leapt off of the bed, kneeing her in the jaw in the process, out into the adjacent kitchen, and got my dick into the closest source of water, which turned out to be dirty dishwater, in a pint glass. Picked it up, lowered it down, and raised it up to dunk my dick in it. Fuck, that hurt. I also had to reach in, and peel the decaying strip off of my glands, as it was still there and wouldn't just fall away into the water. Only then, naked, heaving and covered in panic sweat, did I shudderingly acknowledge and apologize to the two other girls sitting at the kitchen table drinking wine. It was going on 13 years ago now, and my stomach was all clenched up just writing this. This is one of my best friend's story. He is a younger guy, just a few years out of college. He had just moved to a new city and was randomly introduced to an attractive older woman at a mutual friend's party. At that point, he assumed that she was in her late 20s or early 30s. They end up hooking up later on that night. The next morning he finds out that she is actually 39. They hang out for a few weeks and she even invites him and his friends to her 40th birthday party. One night she asks if he wants to try something new and he agrees despite the fact that she won't tell him because she wants it to be a surprise. Anyway, she starts blowing him and he keeps waiting for the new surprise. He comes into her mouth and she immediately looks up and smiles, leans in to kiss him and straight up spits his own load into his unexpected mouth. He said he was so shocked/horrified he didn't know what to do. Before he knew it, he had regretfully swallowed his own load and sat there with a defeated look on his face. They stopped seeing each other after that. Tried putting my penis in a vagina. It went okay I guess. But it was messy afterwards and long story short now there are two small humans running around my house just fucking up all my stuff and preventing me from consuming dank memes 24/7. It's a problem.